opposed to just a basic triple banner system, which I guess that kind of warms my heart, because when double banners came out, I just remember a whole lot of people getting unreasonably upset over it, even though it made no damn sense. It was an interesting time to say the least. You had a lot of people saying that, oh, we're going to have like half the time to save for characters, but refusing to say that, those characters are going to come back twice as fast. But oh well, I think a lot of those people come around by now. Roulettes and double banners are pretty damn good. A lot of people have actually come around to seeing that, I think we need triple banners. But we're getting Chronic of Wish instead. It's not necessarily instead of, but honestly, with how concerning it is for new players to see a lot of banners when they open the wishing screen, I just don't see it turning out well if we have like the beginner banner for new players, obviously, the standard banner, 2 limited banners, a weapon banner, then the Chronic of Wish banner, then God knows what else they've managed to stuff in there somehow. You don't want it to look like it's freaking Las Vegas with advertisements ever flashing in your face with these pretty pictures, because God, it's confusing as a new player. Game content is always going to evolve and become more confusing. Games are going to gain more systems, more currencies, more things to do, more regions, more quests. And the new player experience will always suffer because it's the nature of the system. You can't just say, well, screw the existing players, and we are only going to work on the beginning of the game. It doesn't work that way. It's a constant battle of adding content and improving the player experience. But the last thing you want is the monetization to look insane. I know that there are many of you like me out there that never really played another gacha game before Genshin Impact. I might have tried a couple myself, but they were attached to franchises that I already loved, like Fire Emblem Heroes or Pokemon Masters, neither of which I really liked. And I remember the monetization aspect of those games seemed like hell. There were a lot of flashy things trying to get you to spend money, and it really just pulled you in a bunch of different directions. And even if you're open to spending money, seeing something like that just isn't really appealing. And as Genshin adds more, naturally, because it needs to, it's going to get a little bit more complicated for new players. They just won't have the same experience that many of people like me did when you started 1.0, when it was just a beginner banner, a standard wish, one limited weapon, and one the character. It was very simple to understand, and Genshin has a very clean user interface. One of the downsides of this Chronicle Wish is that it is another different type of banner, because right now we only have beginner, standard, and limited obviously being split between characters and weapons. The funny thing is I even see people who actually play Genshin who still don't understand Chronicle Wish. So in terms of the new player experience, preserving a clean and understandable experience, a triple banner system might have actually been better than this Chronicle Wish, if even existing players still have some issues understanding how it works, although I'm sure they'll be alleviated once they actually see it in game. But let's just get right into triple banners, and most of this Chronicle Wish versus triple banners. Now, I've been advocating for triple banners for a very long time, and I would think that anyone that really likes characters like Eula, Clea, and Albino, for example, really agreed that something needed to be done because certain characters just don't show up very often. The importance of this or any other kind of banner system can easily be explained by very simple math. Pretty soon, we are going to have Chiori. This is going to bump the current limited 5-star character count up to 33 characters. And as we all know, a version lasts 42 days, giving roughly 8.7 versions a year, or 34.7 banners, with the double banner system anyway. That alone already paints a pretty damn grim picture. 34.7 banners, 33 limited 5-star characters. We're pretty much at the limit where you can only get one character once a year. And even that doesn't really work out because we all know there are some pretty strict rules that Pokeverse has to follow. New Archons especially have to be rerun pretty quickly because they make a lot of damn money. Xiao has to be rerun fairly often lest we forget about him. That's unacceptable. And Yuan needs to be shoved in wherever she's very unlikely to make any kind of money. Then there's the giant elephant in the room of we're constantly getting new characters. This problem only gets worse. Genshin has been live for about 30 versions over its 1,258 days as of recording this. So basically we're getting a little bit more than one new 5-star every version of the game because the double banners or the double new 5-star patches are more than making up for the versions where we get nobody. The whole reason people would want triple banners is to rotate through these characters faster because when a person wants a character like Eula, they end up waiting for a very long time because Eula she doesn't really have any selling power. Like, sure, you can try to say something like that, but most of the revenue from a banner comes from a lot of just regular people who are either there on launch day or miss the character and just want a copy of C0 either for the second collection or because they kind of like the character. The truth is just that weaker characters or less popular characters in the meta just don't get wished on as often because a lot of people are forced to wish for characters that are going to make some meaningful difference in their account for power, and maybe, hopefully, get them closer to Spiral Abyss Clear, or just make their account more comfortable to play. So when you have characters characters like this, which, like, honestly, the opening banner of Klee, Albedo, and Eula could not be a better poster child for characters that are essentially, like, unloved, old, clunky, and just no one really wants them. So, like, this is a good banner to shove them all on at once and say, you know, I'm trying to wish for these characters. Obviously, one of the biggest pros of this banner is that you can chart your course for a limited character, and you can lose your 50-50 to another limited character. If you're someone out there who loves Eula and Klee, really, what better banner or system could you hope for where you can wish for one character that you really love and lose character, really tired. Lose your 50-50 to another character that you really like. When you factor something like that in with the other benefits of this banner, such as making your weapons like Tighnari and Dia's weapons finally available again, or being able to chart your course towards something that is actually better than the original weapon banners that weapons came on. Also being able to do it for standard characters. This banner easily has the potential to be better than triple banners in almost every way. Sure, it may be a little bit more complex than the average banner being essentially a dynamic banner, where you can actively choose whether it is a character or weapon banner, depending on who you chart your course towards, which again, I think is pretty cool. Whether or not this has the capability of actually being better than the triple banner depends entirely on how often it is ran, or whether or not it even is a permanent fixture, because the post it was revealed in, or clarified in, said that it may not necessarily be found all the time, may come and go. But if it lasts for one entire version and rotates every version, then it's better than a triple banner. A triple banner would have only introduced 2 more banners per patch. The Chronicle Wish banner has the potential to add 3 per patch if it rotates once a patch. And more importantly than that, it's the characters that are being put on it that are so important. Many people I've seen actually use the example that it is Klee, Eula, and Albedo as a con against this banner, saying that it's garbage. Like, why would anyone wish for this? Well, if you're someone who doesn't want those characters, already has them, or whatever reason, it's a good thing for you. It keeps those characters off of regular banners. As we know, the 2 regular banners meld together to make one weapon banner. If you want one of those banners, or one of those weapons, but not the other one, well, surprise. Klee is basically sabotaging that weapon banner by putting a standard weapon on it. Or Albedo often puts the Summit Shaper, one of the worst weapons in the game. But whether you're on the side of loving these characters and wishing they'd redrawn more often, or on the side of wanting them to stay the hell away from banners so they don't pollute a weapon banner, both sides are winning from this, and that makes the Chronicle Wish banner a kind of elegant solution, honestly. But I'll acknowledge the fact that that does rely on some assumptions. One, that characters like Eula, Klee, and Albedo, having shown up on this banner, won't be showing up on regular limited banners anytime soon. Not that they ever really did anyway. But this at least says, like, hey, look, they had this banner, they don't need to be on limited banners for a while. Which sounds entirely reasonable, because being on a Chronicle Wish banner in general, if you like that character, is probably better than being on a regular banner. That would depend entirely on the situation of your account. For me, for example, I've been playing for so long, and I have done a fair share of, small whaling. I have C6 of most of the standard 5-star characters. So if I could extend the constellations for, like, Albedo or Klee, I would rather that than just getting a small, very small refund on wishes. In a few days or so, hopefully we'll know the exact information about this banner, how long it lasts, how often it rotates, because those are key here. Once a version, every version is the perfect scenario. That would be better than triple banners, in my opinion, especially because triple banners have the question of what the hell do you do with the weapon banner? Ideally, they would rework the weapon banner entirely, just make you, like, chart your course towards a weapon, and within one point you got exactly what you wanted, you picked one of the 3. I don't think that's going to happen. If it turns out that the Chronicle Wish system lasts for an entire region, like all of the Fontaine versions, that would be really bad. My tune would change entirely, and I would call this banner an atrocious failure. The worst case scenario for timing is that it will disappear sometimes and maybe show up for a whole version, like every second version. That's my guess. And I also think people are going to be a lot more positive to this banner when it comes out, but also in its next iteration when maybe it rotates to Liyue and characters like Ganyu Xiao, maybe even Hu Tao show up. That's really all I have to say about this. It's nice to be positive about a new feature coming out, but that's go figure. They put a little bit more effort into the ones that actually do monetization instead of something like the artifact loadouts, which still suck. But you know what? You guys don't suck. So thank you guys for supporting me on Patreon and YouTube membership. Thank you for watching this video. See you next time.
What? Bruh. Some people might not like that Muzu is back to being cranky about Hylians again. But honestly, I think it's pretty understandable. He's lived a long life and his distrust has been just as long as he has been alive. Almost. Which is a long time. 100 years. A single act of kindness won't be enough to fully, completely, get rid of his racism right away. Ah. Yeah, so Zora's Domain was what I intended to be my first dungeon. But I could not for the life of me solve this puzzle back then. I got so stumped that I gave up and just went with Tulin's quest, which the game was straight up telling you should do first. And it's basically the easiest of the regional phenomena. The intended way for you to solve things is to go clockwise, starting with Tulin, then Yunobo, then Sidon, then Riju. But I ain't gonna do that. So you see the map of the sky and you clearly see this on your map, which looks like a fish. Going there is the solution, but I did not know what to do afterwards. I expected if I talked to someone, they'd just give me the solution. That was how stumped I was. This is the most battery efficient way to use balloons. Use wood, and then a fire fruit. The balloon will rise without you needing to consume even a little bit of battery. I discovered this tech pretty early on when I was trying to get to the fish island. And what you could get without the armor, but the armor makes it so much easier. Just a little bit of flight from the balloon, and then you can use this. So it's a matter of perspective. Let's clear out all the bullshit first. I did actually try doing rejuice first. And I really just didn't like Death Mountain, so I never considered going there. But yeah, rejuice puzzle got me stuck as well. Should be facing this direction. There. Man, I just love doing this. There it is. How could you be so clumsy? I was looking forward to the tuna. Then you went ahead and got it burned. Tila na ba? Pagtitiklop ng damit. Itawin. Why, mommy? Why? Why?